Hello, welcome to Evolve with Natu. My name is Natu. If this is the first time you're tuning in, welcome aboard. Karibu sana, we love having you here. And if you're a returning viewer, better yet, a returning subscriber, thank you so much. Asante sana, your support means a lot to me. Today, I am thrilled to share my last international travel to the beautiful Hong Kong. My trip started in Edmonton with a pit stop in Vancouver, and I was headed on a 13-and-a-half-hour flight across the globe. Sounds exhausting, right? Yeah. But between naps, in-flight meals that I've already repressed, and an ambitious attempt to finish 2 books, which I did, time zipped by so fast, and before you know it, we were landing in Hong Kong at 4 p.m. sharp. This is me, happy, dry lips and all, but I was so excited that we made it safe and sound. We praise good Lord for that. And I went and collected my bags. The arrival process was smooth-ish. Just when I thought, everything was going well, immigration decided to pull me aside for a little Q&A session. As I say, the joys of being a Black traveler. But we serve a living God. My Canadian passport came through and I was out in 10 minutes flight. Then came the big decision. Do I take a train or do I take a taxi? Being that I'm very challenged with my directions, I opted not to embrace my adventurous side and respected myself and opted to go on a taxi instead. And the directions at the airport are very straightforward. We line up to hop on your next taxi. You tell your taxi driver where you're headed to. And they punch in the meter and off you go. So my taxi driver was extremely kind. He asked me where I came from, obviously. And I was privileged to learn the history of Hong Kong, which I knew a little bit, but from the driver, I learned a lot about how they gained independence and obviously his personal opinions of what is going on in Hong Kong right now that I'm not going to share on this video because this is not a political commentary. But in between me learning about Hong Kong from him, I enjoyed the beautiful scenery of Hong Kong. Lush green hills, the winding roads, the skyscrapers. Let me just say, Hong Kong has to be one of the most beautiful places I've ever seen in Asia, at least. And I'm not that well traveled, but for the little countries or the few countries that I've seen, it definitely holds its own. So upon arriving at the hotel, I quickly checked in, hopped into the streets to go look for food. And after having my supper, I was ready to sleep, and ready for day 2. So my day 2 started a little bit late because I was jet lagged and tired. I decided to head over to Mong Kok, one of the busiest sections or neighborhoods in Hong Kong. As you could probably see here, you're probably not going to be able to see how busy it is. And I went to Langham Place to have lunch. And here's just a glimpse of how busy Mongkok is. So I spent Mongkok a little part of the evening, and I was also there at night. I visited a market where they sell what they say affordable, but it wasn't necessarily affordable. And I'm ashamed to say that I had pizza. I realized I'm a foodie, but I'm a foodie who is also very picky and a creature of habit. This might be some sort of a neurodivergency, but that's a discussion for another day. And here we come at day 3. By then, I was very rested and I was excited. This has to be, and you could probably tell from my tone, this has to be one of my favorite places that I visited, the Nan Lian Garden. I hope I'm saying this right. For any person who's from Hong Kong, who lives in Hong Kong, you'll correct me if I made a mistake, and I apologize in advance. But this has to be one of the most breathtaking gardens that I've ever seen, a sight to behold. It was like stepping into a painting. These are just the instructions on the directions of the garden. And as I said, like, I don't think I've ever seen a garden as beautiful as this. I've seen a few gardens. I'd say maybe a few gardens that might rival this is gardens in Thailand, maybe, and that's a strong maybe. I love my visit in Thailand, but I think this has to be one of the most beautiful gardens I've seen. And I know people always talk about feeling a zen energy. I never really felt that until I was in this garden. I don't know what was in this garden, but it was a place that I did not want to leave. From the perfectly trimmed trees, the koi ponds, and yeah, the birds singing. And I have a habit, whenever I visit new places, I try to find elements of other places that I've seen before. So this place reminded me, not this particular section rather, but this garden rather, it reminded me of different places in Tanzania. So there's these rocks, reminded me of places like Mwanza. And then some of the places I looked, I was like, oh, this reminds me of Lushoto. This reminds me of Usangi, where my dad and us are from. And then some places I saw a little bit of Morogoro, not a lot, but I'd say Lushoto, Usangi, Mwanza, and I'd say I saw those three places, and obviously some gardens that I've seen in other Asian countries. But this was just, it's unique. It's probably, I'm sounding like a broken record. And I was very courageous to ask for my pictures to be taken and videos. The joys of being extroverted. I used to hate being an extrovert, but now I embrace it, and it comes in handy whenever I travel. And as you can see, there's also other visitors. I don't know if they're also from Hong Kong or from other parts of Asia. I wasn't courageous enough to ask them, but I was courageous to ask them to take pictures and clips of me. But yes, this is a beautiful little girl that I saw who, her parents were taking pictures of her. But anyways, my trip to Nan Lian had to be cut short because I had my next stop to Tsim Sha Tsui. And I'm probably not saying it correctly. From here onwards, I'm going to be referring it as TST, one of the most busiest neighborhoods in Hong Kong. It's where the Victoria Harbour is, I believe. Yes, it's where the Victoria Harbour is. But anyways, it's also where you'll find most of the high-end stores. The likes of Louis Vuitton, the likes of Dolce & Gabbana. Well, here's Apple too. And the likes of Chanel, my personal favorite. And you'd think I actually stepped into one of these stores to go shop, but no. One, I did not have the budget to go shop, and two, I was just so pressed for time because I still wanted to see a few more adventures for the night. So I just walked by the streets and just looked at the stores from outside. And just my personal opinion, I think the high-end designer stores in Asia have a whole lot more items compared to the ones in North America. Just looking from outside. But I digress. It was time for me to go on my next adventure for the night, the highlight of the night, the 1-hour Victoria Harbour cruise. Let's just say words do not do this cruise justice. Imagine gliding across the water surrounded by Hong Kong's iconic skyline, the city lights sparkling like a scene straight out of a movie. Man, pure magic. Between this adventure and Nan Lian Garden, I have to say, hands down, these were my favorite moments. There were a lot of people in the boat who were just all, and I'm glad that you can't hear the noises in this boat, but my God, everybody was just excited, rightfully so. And you kind of wish that this boat ride was more than an hour, and I'm pretty sure they probably have those kind of boat rides. But this was what I could afford within my time frame and within my budget. But after that 1-hour boat ride, was it 1 hour? 45 minutes, 1 hour, I hopped into my yet next adventure. The night was still young. this was my last night in Hong Kong. So I decided to wrap up the day by taking the bus to Central for some late night sightseeing. Central Hong Kong at night is busy. It's electric. This is where they have some of the nightclubs, which I did not go to because I was pressed for time. They also have the skyscrapers, the bustling streets, just like TST, quiet corners for people watching. This is like when we were driving into the underground. And yeah, so some of these places, they look like TST because the bus passes through TST before you get to Central Hong Kong. And yeah, this is bits and pieces of Central Hong Kong. It's some places were still going under constructions. But boy, oh boy, if you're going to walk in Central Hong Kong, make sure you're wearing flat shoes. I was so glad that I had my sneakers walking down these streets because, yeah, you're going to take a lot of stairs. You're going to go through a lot of ups and downs. I checked my Apple Watch by the end of the night. I think this day I had at least walked 20,000 easily. It was a good exercise, and the views just made it worthwhile walking all those hours and steps. And at night, I have to say TST was also not TST, but Central was also the most diverse part of Hong Kong. And just like that, we're on to day 4 and my final day in Hong Kong. Let's make it count. My last day kicked off with an iconic big bus tour to Victoria Peak. So I took a train from my hotel and I was headed to take the big bus. I booked the big bus tour through a website called Klook. And you had an option to take different stops, but I just opted for the stop that was going to take me to the Victoria Peak. So the bus took us all the way up where we could take the tram ride. I believe those are called trams. And yeah, inside the bus you had they were explaining the tours in different languages. They give you these headphones and then you get to hear on the different stops that you're passing by, which I thought was really, really cool. And the drive to where the tram stop was at least a good 10-15 minutes, and it was a lot of us who were lining up to go into the tram that was going to take us to Victoria Peak. As you can see, this is just some of the people. First installation, or the first portion of people had already hopped into a tram, and we were the second part of the group of people that were going in. This is the tram just pulling in. And yeah, little did I know that I would have been struggling to get in because there was so many people. But this is the ride up to Victoria Peak. I feel like my camera my phone did not do this view justice. But my, oh my, these steep tracks, you'd hear me say lush green because I feel like that's a good part of Vancouver, and the peaks of the city through the trees. Adventure at its finest. I don't have words. And the view from the top, this is Victoria Peak, rightfully so. You see the skyscrapers, the rolling hills, the harbour stretching endlessly. Yeah, and this is before you get in to see the Victoria Peak, they have a store where they sell souvenirs, and they also sell food. And this is just some of the items that they sell. These are fruits. I believe it's different grapes in different colors. And yeah, freshly made treats. This is just another view. Now I had already hopped off a tram and we're just viewing Victoria Peak from a building. What a better way to end my visit in Hong Kong. So I spent a good hour and a half here, and then I realized, boy oh boy, I need to rush back as fast as possible. But before I rushed back to take a tram, then to take a train and a taxi back to my hotel, I made sure that I took different clips to share with you all, different sides of Victoria Peak. And yes, I feel like this is what I've been saying all along. What a sight to behold. I think this should have been the title of the video. And again, in a typical extrovert fresh fashion, I did manage to ask people to take pictures of me. And this is just a glimpse of me at Victoria Peak. And yes, the trip is over. Just like that. As they say, all good things must come to an end. And after a quick dash back to the hotel to grab my bags, I was off to the airport. Hong Kong, with its perfect mix of chaos, calm, modernity, tradition. You've officially stolen my heart. If you enjoyed coming along on this adventure, don't forget to like, subscribe, and stay tuned for more travel stories. Until next time, bye-bye, my dear viewers, and bye-bye, Hong Kong. It's been real.